Today I'm going to make something to drink from nature, elderflower cordial. Elderflower cordial is an infusion of elderflowers and sugar and lemons that can be made up with additional water or tonic water or sparkling water to make a really refreshing summer drink. I'm going to make some today. So I'm starting off with 2.5 litres of water in my largest pan, and I've got 50 grams of citric acid, and I've got 2 lemons. And just to start off with, I'm going to zest these lemons into the water, just really to get the full aroma of them. They are going to go in pieces as well, but just so that we can actually infuse the flavour out of them properly. We'll get the zest in there as well. That lemon's seen better days, but it'll be fine for this. These lemons now just get cut into 1 centimetre slices, and they'll go straight into the pan. That pan's just going to go over a low heat with the lid on to preserve the aroma until it comes to the boil. Meanwhile, we'll prepare the flowers. I've been out today and picked about probably 15 heads of elderflowers, and I'm just going to trim those away from the stalks. So sharp scissors, and I'm not going to try and cut every piece of stalk off. I'm just going to try to get the big stalks off without wasting any flowers. Now elder trees are quite easy to recognise. I'll put some pictures of various different bits of the tree on the screen as I'm preparing these flowers. There aren't very many things you could mistake them for unless you're very inexperienced at foraging. I suppose the thing to really avoid is plants in the Umbellifer family, in the Apiaceae, which are, the celery family, which have superficially similar flowers, but the plants themselves are very different. They grow directly out of the ground. It's a herbaceous plant rather than a tree. The best time for picking them is on a sunny afternoon. So the afternoon, because it gives the plant a chance to wake up and start producing sugars and tasty aromatic chemicals. And sunny because, again, the sunshine is what makes these flowers really wake up and shine. You pick these on a dull day, they just won't have nearly so much flavour. So I visited quite a few trees and picked only a few bunches of flowers off of each tree. Try to leave as much as I can really for the bees and butterflies. I did also notice there's quite a lot of white and red clover around. It's possible to make a edible syrup out of that stuff, but I've done that before and it wasn't all that nice. Kind of tasted like a sweetened version of the water that you might cook green beans in. So I didn't pick any clover. However, I did pick some rose petals, so we're going to be putting rose petals in there as well. So we're going to make kind of elderflower and rose cordial, which I hope will be very nice. I did also see a plant or two of common mallow, and we're going to be doing something with that plant in another video very soon. Now the amount of flowers that you actually need is kind of a bit vague, but really as much as you can cram into the pan reasonably. But after they've all been trimmed off, that's like a big double handful. Sorry, that's not very precise, but there it is. And if you're a bit squeamish about bugs and dirt, I've got some terrible news for you. I am not washing these flowers. That would completely defeat the object of what we're trying to do today, because that will just wash off the flavour that we're trying to infuse in the syrup. Rose petals, again, which I picked from a plant that was in full flower in the sunshine. I actually picked them from 2 different roses. There's one rose that's got tiny little white petals. It almost looks like a bramble, but it's not. It's definitely a rose. And the aroma of these small white flowers is a bit like currant buns. Oops, you can see that. We've got a visitor. I will just rescue him. It is possible that there will be some insects in here. That's just, unfortunately, the way it goes. You can't really ever completely eliminate all of those sorts of things without destroying the flowers. Anyway, rose petals and elderflowers. I think the water is nearly boiling, so off we go to the pan. As the water came to the boil, I've just dumped the flowers in. I'm going to make sure that they're fully immersed, and as soon as that's come back to a boil, I'm going to turn it off. Elderflowers, the aroma that's coming off of this, they're amazing. They've got a kind of grapey, fruity, almost like white wine type aroma. If you're worried about the bitterness from the lemon peels, don't be. It's going to be necessary in this drink. This drink's going to have a lot of sugar in it. It's got quite a lot of acidity from the lemons and the citric acid, and it's got the aroma of the elderflowers as well. And so a little bit of bitterness in there as well will just help to balance things out. Okay, that's simmering again now. So heat off. I'll do my best to submerge these flowers, but they do want to float. And then lid on so we don't lose any aroma. That's now got to be left to cool and steeped overnight. It's the following morning and this is what we've got. Now I did go out later as this was cooling and pick some more elderflowers and drop them in there. I just felt like maybe there wasn't enough elderflower in there, so I picked about another 6 or 7 heads of flowers and just snipped them in there while it was cooling. So this is a combination of elderflowers that went in when it was boiling and some more elderflowers that went in while it was cooling down, maybe 75 degrees Celsius or something like that. When it cooled, I took the lemons out and put it in the fridge overnight. Now we need to strain it. Straining is going to be like a 2-stage process really, and I'm going to do this with a big ladle to save spillage. Get that really nice and close. And I'll do a coarse strain first, where I just get the flowers out of the solution. This is going to be more than enough to fill this jug, so I'll find another vessel for this to go into just temporarily. And the rest of it can now go through the strainer. I'll rinse out this pan just to get rid of any little bits and pieces that are clinging to it, and we might as well just press that down and have a few more drops of liquid out of it, because it is going to get another filter. Now on camera I can see that looks like a pretty unpromising pale brown liquid, and I think that's actually because I put rose petals as well as elderflowers in there. Elderflowers on their own will give you a pale green liquid. Rose petals on their own will give you a pale pink liquid. Pink and green makes brown. Actually it's a bit more on the pink side really, but anyway I don't care what it looks like because it smells incredible. This stuff we're finished with, that can go in the compost now. So we've strained already, now we're going to filter. And for this I'm going to use the same sieve with a triple layer of one of these kitchen cleaning cloths. This is a brand new one, which I've also rinsed out. And I'll just filter that back through into the pan. What we're left with is now a significantly less cloudy liquid. Now we need to sweeten this and turn it into a syrup. Now for this I'm putting in a whole kilogram of sugar. That might seem shocking. It's a lot of sugar. But this is a cordial. We will only use a very small amount of this diluted in water, so the actual amount of sugar per serving size is a teaspoonful or 2. About the same as people might put in a cup of tea or coffee. And I should say actually also there are recipes for this sort of cordial that use twice that much sugar for this amount of liquid. So back onto the stove, and I'm going to heat this and stir it until that sugar is completely dissolved. If you wanted to store this for a long time without refrigeration, you can kind of sterilise it in the bottles. So you would bottle it, you'd stand the bottles in a big pan and bring the whole thing up to boil and then cap them while they're still at boiling point, and that would store at room temperature. Alternatively you could put sulfites in it, but I'm not going to do that because Jenny's deathly allergic to sulfites. So going to keep on heating, we'll be back in a moment. I am, while we're waiting for this to heat up, just going to taste a little bit, undiluted. Not that much. Oh wow. Wow, that's really tasty, but you wouldn't want to drink it neat like that. Coming up on 70 Celsius now, and I've decided what I'm going to do is take this up to 80, put the lid on and turn the heat off, and that will keep it above 70 for sufficiently long to pasteurise it to an adequate degree for what I need. Okay, 80 degrees. Heat is going to go off, lid is going to go on, and now I'm just going to let that cool down before we try and put it in bottles. I know that will defeat some of the pasteurisation, but like I say, I'm storing this in the fridge. Now these bottles have been sterilised and washed, and I've just allowed this liquid to cool down to about 50 degrees so we don't explode the bottles, because I'm not really sure the glass bottles will take all that well to being filled with boiling liquid. Anyway, yes, sterilisation of the bottles is variably important depending on how you want to store them. I'm intending to store these in the fridge, therefore they don't need to be sterilised quite as rigorously as if you wanted to store them at room temperature for longer. So that's not completely sterile, but even then that would keep at room temperature for a month before it would start to maybe ferment. It's quite acidic, it's quite sugary. Not many things will want to grow in there. Yeasts probably would, and so eventually it would start to ferment a little bit, and actually that could cause it to explode. And so that's elderflower cordial. So 4 full bottles and just a little bit left. that I'll put in a jug, and we'll use that today. Right, first little taste. This has just been chilled down in the fridge. It's probably quite a strong mix, but we'll see how that goes. Right, I'll just taste one of those now. Oh, that's superb. That really is very good. That'll be nice with some ice in it, although actually ice will tend to kill some of the flavour. Oh, it's delicious. Really delicious, really refreshing. The floral notes of the elderflowers come right through. And the rose is there, present, but really, really subtle, which is really nice actually, because sometimes rose flavoured things can taste a little bit kind of soapy, and this actually just tastes very, very lightly floral. It's really nice. We'll have a proper taste with some ice and tonic and stuff in a minute, but I'm just going to give that one to Jenny. So, elderflower cordial, what are we going to do with it? Well, the simplest version is probably just some ice, some of the elderflower cordial, and some cold water. And let's say maybe a little slice of lemon in there as well. If you want to be a little bit more fancy, elderflower cordial, lots of ice, and some cold tea. Again, maybe just a slice of lemon. Or, and this one's for grown-ups, ice, elderflower, bit of tonic water. Careful, I'll just give that a little mix. I think with this one, a bit of my sloe gin. This is sloe gin I made quite a few years ago. And maybe for that one we'll have some lime, a little sprig of lemon balm. How about that? So, 3 elderflower drinks. Let's give them a taste. So just elderflower. I know what this is going to be like. This is just elderflower cordial made up with water. However, it's very, very nice. Really refreshing. Oh, you do get the flowers coming through as it warms in your mouth. Really nice. Elderflower iced tea. Really nice actually. A bit more refreshing on a sunny afternoon like this. Just the astringency of the tea. It mutes the flavour of the flowers a tiny bit, but it is nice. And there's just enough sweetness in that elderflower cordial to make that tea nice and sweet. And I don't know what you call this, elderflower sloe gin and tonic. Oh, yes please. Favourite of the 3. Yeah. So there we go. Elderflower cordial and 3 ways to serve it. Now, I live on the south coast of England, so if you live further north of me, you've still got time at the time this video goes live to go out and find some elderflowers that are still in bloom. I hope you found this interesting. I certainly enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.